Hello and welcome. We're speaking with my friend Tiffany today, and we're talking about bravery. She has this whole concept around bravery worked out, and she's doing all the actions that is involved to frickin' be brave. She is someone like me. We've suffered with like anxiety, and we've had lots of fears, and we've been kind of like a very like, oh, the world's a terrifying place, but with that, still, we've done some big things and brave things. And I love just her perspective on it and the way she just elevates people's lives by showing them how to be brave. And she has these frameworks. But anyway, we did a Q&A and it was really fun. We went back and forth and shared some insights on that. And it was fucking impactful. I think I learned a lot from her. And yeah, I think you'll love it. So tune in and let me know what you think at the end. Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to this episode. We are speaking with Tiffany G today, and we're talking about bravery. Welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. So we're actually going to do a Q&A episode, but actually I'll get into that in a minute. I wanted to intro you a little bit because I love your story. You've been in online marketing for 10 years, and then you now have decided to ignore all sensible advice and create a podcast on bravery. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good choice in my opinion. I think like you said, it reignited your passion for business, so I think that was such a smart move. And now you help coaches do brave things and grow their business, and you combine marketing and mindset. Love that so much. A reason that we connected initially actually is that I was just like, oh my god, you're doing what I want to do, but in like a different way with marketing instead of the direction I want to go in. And our views and our missions are so intertwined, so I was like, we have to like do this opportunity of like collaborating, we have to talk. And I'm just so glad that when we did start talking in the DMs, we like found that connection. It was just so nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Likewise.
Oh, thank you. I'm so thrilled for this because your opinions on bravery are amazing. Like, you think about it a lot, obviously, because of what you teach, and you're just going to
Yeah.
diagnose it for everyone. And I'm just thrilled. And we're talking, I think, today because we both overcome a lot of similar internal struggles or fears, maybe not similar, but big ones. And like, that's the perspective we see the world from. So I really think that's a big part of our mission and why we kind of understand people more. So I hope this episode highlights a few things for people that want to be brave and do big things. Um,
Mm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
welcome. And firstly, though, I do want to throw a curveball in and ask you a few questions because I'm going to sit these ones out. um, I just kind of want to start with like where you're at now, what you're doing. I would love if you shared with everyone listening, what's your focus right now in your business, and your life.
Yeah. Okay. So, yes, I'm a business and mindset coach. I'm based in Australia, but I work with people all around the world. And I work with coaches to help them to, attract more clients and sign more clients by doing brave things, which can be anything from just getting on camera to even just selling their coaching and getting their first paying clients, or, running the master classes and all that kind of stuff. And kind of what I do differently, like a lot of people hear bravery and often think, feel the fear and do it anyway. Where I come in is where in the places where people dream big and in their business, and then they find themselves getting stuck in procrastination, overwhelm, or uncertainty, and just like unable to move those big dreams forward for whatever reason. And yeah, that's kind of where I come in with like a whole framework to help people like manage their mind. Just because, for me, I found after 10 years, the most amazing marketing strategy in the world couldn't sort of make up for perhaps a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem, just some of that side of things that you need just as much in order to build a business and then to, grow it and work outside of your comfort zone and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's like a little insight into what I do with clients through one-on-one coaching and just help them do that brave thing without, getting stuck in like what I kind of call like webs of worry and just untangle those as they kind of move forward stuff.
Yeah, that's
So
amazing. And I feel like you take a lot of they're kind of like vague concepts like confidence and these kinds of things like and self-belief, and you turn them into like a frame, like you're saying, a framework, but something very structured and understandable, and like you can pull it out again as a tool and be like, okay, I'm feeling this, so this is what I should do. So I think that's really, really important, and I love that. I love how
yeah.
you've taken like the marketing approach, like you're making charts and things about about such vague topics.
Wow, that's a really interesting insight. I didn't even realize that that's what I was doing. And if it's any consolation to anyone out there, like some of that, creating the solid concepts or the charts and things like that, that's only come to me in the last few months of working on bravery stuff, but I've had the podcast for 12 months. So there was definitely a time where this was kind of vague to me too. And I was like, I want to help people with bravery, but what does that mean? And then, yeah, breaking that down. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you've brought your unique perspective to it though. So I think it's really powerful what you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Um, my next question is what makes you uncomfortable? Where is the edge that you're currently pushing up against with work or
Mm.
life?
Yeah. Okay. So, oh man,
Not a
many
small
things
question.
make me, yeah, many things make me uncomfortable. So, yeah, I guess part of my background for those listening is kind of like just lifelong dealing with anxiety, right? From childhood, right? In fact, I thought that's how everybody operated. It was a shock to the system to discover that not everybody operated with just this, sort of, I don't know, like, butterflies in the stomach all the time over everything, including the little things. I was like, oh, really? That's not how that works? That people are just calm, really? Like they're not just pretending. So yeah,
I can
it's
relate to
kind
that
of the
for
the
sure.
stuff the stuff that kind of gets to me is things like having to tell somebody no, right? Having to tell a client no. Recently, I had to sort of go through some of that stuff around like my values and what I stand for, and not just being a people pleaser. Some bigger things that I'm working on in terms of, because like my whole system is about being brave and we plan out brave things. The bigger things is like last quarter I did this big launch and I did, the month of bravery for March. And then I sort of approached it with my perfectionist tendencies and put all this energy into it and sort of burnt myself out in the middle of it and had to, and because of that, like my chronic health conditions sort of flared up and I had to slow down. And yeah, part of my edge now is like going into the next time I run this stuff and teach people my whole framework and all that stuff for visioning and planning is to do it in a different way, partly in how it's structured so that I don't have to be operating at that big level for all of those weeks at a time, and also partly in approaching it with, instead of trying to put 1,000% energy and effort into this big launch because it was like big and I must have to work harder because there's something lacking in me and therefore I need to work harder than everybody else and try and show up with the energy of 10 people even though I don't have 10 people on a team to help me.
Mhm.
There's just me. So now, like next month, next time I run it in June, I'm going to sort of try out like 80%. Like this is what I do with the Brave goals is like, did I put in 80% effort? And so now it's like, okay, what does putting in like 80% energy look like for me? Because my natural tendency is to just go above and beyond. Like I wake up and I'm like ready for above and beyond whatever. So it's sort of like that 80% might be what other people call 100% effort on things because they have balance in their life, as opposed to me, where it's like 100% effort is like, forget I have parents, no, a parent, family, friends, and sleep. Just get 4 hours of sleep and do the thing. And like that's what 100% effort looks to me in my brain. And I just need to kind of experiment with trying something else. So that's a couple of my edges, but I'm always working on things like and yeah, it's like about like balance and things like that. So it's not quite as sexy as the, oh, I'm doing the big launch and doing all the things and doing all the speaking gigs and all of that stuff. But it is as essential so that I can have that foundation and grounding so I can go into doing all of that speaking stuff and all the stuff I'm excited to do later.
Yeah. And you are doing those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the
Yes.
focus has to shift to the behind the scenes kind of view,
Yeah.
and not just the exciting speaking gigs and everything. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, your month was huge, but I'm glad that you did take a break after. Most people would just keep going and pushing through the burnout. So at least you recognize it within yourself.
Yes, I've tried to do that before. I have learned from that that it doesn't work well for me. Then I end up getting sicker or having more issues where I have less control over the brakes. Whereas if I put the brakes in myself, I have control, and it means that my body doesn't just go, nope, we're not doing anything. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a scary place to be. Let's not go there. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
could I ask the next question then is a bit closer to anything else. So it is, what are some of the like criticizes that your mind gives you? So like the internal dialogue, what does it try to tell you, but you don't let it win? I know you don't.
Yeah, so I've worked through a lot of these over the years, and like I grew up with a critical parent, so there were hundreds of these. But one that has stuck around that I'm still working on is the the phrase in my mind of "it's not working." Even though like my brain, like even in other areas of my life, it will try and tell me this. Like at one point I was doing really well with my health and I lost a lot of weight, and I got on the scale, the number was less, and my brain was saying it's not working. So it's like it didn't even want to believe the evidence. It just wanted to be in it's not working. So if you can
Wow.
imagine then taking that mindset into your business, and then, like you've got the reticular activating system in your brain, and like for whatever you believe, it will find the evidence for. So then it's like if you go into your business with it's not working, then all you can end up seeing sometimes is the one time somebody says no rather than the other yeses, the one time somebody leaves a negative comment, or or like people don't comment at all on a post, yet there's another post with 20 comments. Or so yeah, that's one of the
Really?
ones that I have to work on, and like I actively have to find evidence of even the smallest needle shifts of it is working, and this is worth continuing to keep moving forward, which sounds crazy because there would be people on the outside of my business who would probably be like, oh, I'd kill to have clients like she does, and getting paid, and regular monthly income, and like I've got a lot of things that are working in my business, and yet yeah, I just have to deal with that one fun criticism from my brain. And then some of the others are, people won't want this, they won't care, they don't want this from you. Every time I go to put something out, even if I've run it before and it was successful, the next time round I still have to work through those things, and we do that in the planning process of the Business Bravery Framework so that we can take more action during the quarter. And yeah, just I'm always working through a ton of criticisms and things that my brain has for me. So yeah.
I've never heard anyone put it that way. And no one ever says that as an answer. Like it's not working. It's usually like I'm not good enough or something. Um, which
Mm.
is like the lowest thread, like I feel like the lowest tier possibly, but like
Mm.
it's not working. And that makes sense, perhaps. Like you were in marketing, like marketing, you have to constantly change things. Maybe it like
Mm.
also added to that being on that hamster wheel feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and it probably does tie into the I'm not good enough. If you followed it down, it's like I've definitely had to work through a whole thought process of there was something lacking in me, and I had to work harder than everybody else in order to get the life that I wanted. And so that's where the it's not working part comes in, like even when the numbers are saying it is working. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely does tie into that as well. But I don't feel it the same way that I used to, and it doesn't affect me like it used to. And like that was the bad point about having a marketing background, is the minute, like with it's not working and the I'm not enough and there's something lacking in me, the minute a strategy didn't work, and it didn't work after like 3 or 4 weeks, it'd be like, oh, time to change, let's pivot and change my whole business around. I must need a new client, and that'll make it all better. And as opposed to actually working on these other things that I didn't even realize was the problem. So
Yeah, yeah. But I do feel like everyone has that. Well, not everyone has that. Maybe it's just me too. But I do see it a lot in other people that it's not working, and then they don't do what you said, like to sit down and gather evidence that it is. Like it's
yeah,
huge, even just at the end of the year, write down everything you did. Like if you're never gonna do it again, do it then. Like, yeah. And
yeah,
then you go, oh, holy crap, I moved the needle, and it kind of like calms your nervous system. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it's
yeah.
really
And
interesting.
yeah, and I mean, like it's as we're talking now, I realize like it's had a whole impact on my ability to do the reporting and find the real data, because I didn't want to see the evidence that it wasn't working. I
Hmm.
just wanted to fix it so that I wouldn't feel bad for long and find the thing that worked. And yet,
Yeah, right.
without the real data, like I have clients come to me going, oh, yeah, I feel like I need to change the website. I'm like, well, let's look at the data, let's look at the numbers. And yet, sometimes I don't want to do that for myself. So, yeah,
Yeah, that's
definitely
true.
see those
Sometimes we do
correlations
look
there.
at the wrong numbers too. I feel like it's
Mm.
important that you know
Yeah.
what to look at, and yeah.
Mm.
And it's really easy to spend a lot of time on things that aren't moving the needle because they're more comfortable. Uh,
Mm.
so then you
Yeah.
actually aren't moving the needle. So then you do look back and you go, I haven't actually done anything. That is a really uncomfortable place to be.
Oof, yeah. And especially with I'm working all the hours, I'm doing all the things, and yet I'm not really seeing results or things like that, and changes and shifts like you'd expect. Like, where's all the extra clients? I'm doing all the hours, but yeah, if you're not actually making more offers to people, then you probably won't get more clients. And yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My gosh, it's so true. Um, let's move on to the next question. Just one more for you. It's a bit long. So, in what you're currently doing, are there any aspects of what you do, how you help, that at one stage was completely uncomfortable and unnatural for you or challenging, but now feels easy?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just about everything that I do was at one point uncomfortable, especially because like my background with anxiety, and I had a very harsh inner critic and inner monologue and all of that kind of stuff. So, like for example, getting on video and even doing a podcast like this, like, it took me years to build the skills to be here, not stuttering and stammering, and also not have something in my head for every time I said something. It's like, what did you say that for? That was the wrong thing. Even when I first started my podcast, I'd be asking questions, and immediately my brain would try and say to me, why did you ask that question? Nobody cares about that one.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
really hard to run a business and like live a life with that kind of criticism and stuff going on. So I had to sort of learn to train out of that. Yeah, just other things like dealing with clients who, not quite the right fit, and thinking that that's not my fault, and then being able to actually say, hey, we're not a fit, and some of that stuff. Yeah, just like everything.
Yeah. There's not a
It's,
lot of
yeah,
awareness around that when you're starting. It feels like that you can choose who you work with, and that's a big part of it. Like, and you're trapping yourself in like that cycle of you're gonna feel not good enough and shit because they're not the right clients, so you're not helping them, and then it's not
yeah,
moving anything where you want it to go.
yeah.
So yeah, sometimes saying no is actually better. Um,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah, but then the hesitation to say no, it always holds people back from actually doing that. So
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
It's
but
definitely some skills to learn. And I mean, like for me, like being in that cycle, like I had, clients who like kind of bullied me. I had one client who yelled at me over the phone because I asked to get paid after having done weeks of unpaid work.
Oh my God.
And yeah, just
Yeah. Yeah. The nightmare clients. And you
yeah.
don't even, it's usually, I don't know, my experience is you don't expect it to be the people that do it. And you're just like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, oh, there was a red flag there I should have seen ages ago.
Yes. There, in my experience, there was usually more than one. Unfortunately, I approach everyone with very thick rose-colored glasses. And apparently, when you have rose-colored glasses, red flags just look like flags. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I had that too,
mm,
where I repeated something because it was something in someone close to me that I ignored and I
mm,
didn't recognize. So then the people with that bad trait kept coming into my life. And I was like, oh, just I don't even see that red flag. That's not a
yeah.
thing. Yeah. So please, yeah,
Yes.
beware if you can. Wild.
Yeah. You are not alone in that, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. And I can relate to your anxiety too, of course. That's where we like crossed over a lot too, just of that voice in your head telling you like, no, what did you do that for? Why did you say that? Or yeah, anything. Or you did that was really weird. But maybe it actually helps to recognize as the vulnerability hangover. You said something new that you've never said, and it's
Mm,
just different. Because yeah, like we were
yeah.
talking before, after a podcast episode, I
Mm,
it's kind of gone now mostly.
yeah.
But I get a vulnerability hangover and I'm like, why did I say those things? And then I'm like, it was meant to be said and that's how it came out. And that's okay.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely still need
Yeah.
to tell myself that still. But like, why
Mm,
not?
yeah.
Um, but yeah, okay, let's move into the Q&A. So full disclosure, everyone, I haven't prepared anything for this. So she's gonna guide this. And I'm gonna just what's it called, like work off of what you got. So
Yeah.
first question. So what does bravery mean to you?
Yeah, okay. So I love to answer this question and I love to answer it with a story because that's just so much more fun. So for bravery, like I said before, I know a lot of people think, feel the fear and do it anyway. But for me, bravery is around like being yourself and not necessarily like learning to be your truest self and then not necessarily just believing every thought or idea that comes up into your brain. So let me tell this story, which will sort of explain this so much better. So imagine that you are at a networking event. You are like at this networking event, and regardless of what you feel about networking events, you've decided to be here. So we're there, and you're talking to another person, having a one-on-one conversation, and you notice that they're not looking at you, they're kind of looking around. The gaps between the conversation and things are getting longer, and when they're asking you questions, it seems to have nothing to do with anything that you've just said. And you suddenly have this thought of, oh, we're not clicking, right? And this is a direct example from, a client of mine who was in a session with me. And I said, what are you making that mean? And she said to me, oh, that I've done something wrong, right? And so it's my fault that we're not clicking. And so if you kind of follow that through, and I know, Amanda, you've been like studying a lot with NLP, so a lot of this stuff's going to sound quite familiar to you now. But it's just, this was sort of an eye-opening thing for me. It's like if you follow this whole thing down, like if you sit there in that situation and go, oh, we're not clicking and it's my fault. Like even as I say it's my fault, my shoulders come in a bit, right? This kind of
Mhm.
imaginary wall comes up between me and everyone else. And I'm sort of feeling, not great, kind of maybe less than, my best self, right? And so then from that, it's like, okay, I'll go and talk to some other people because I'm at this networking event. Maybe you talk to two or three people, but because you're feeling in that kind of energy, that zone, and perhaps not your most confident self, people ask you what you're doing, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I do. I help people with this and I do that, and people go, oh yeah, that's nice. And then you leave the networking event and you go home and you go, oh, networking events, they're horrible. I hate doing them. And so what's interesting about this is like, if we then move this into like a whole different scenario, like what if we did something different in this scenario? So it's like you're in that same conversation and you're talking to the person, and you're sitting there having the thought, um that we're not clicking, right? But you have this worldview that it's like, it's okay if I don't click with everyone, right? I have this belief I don't have to click with everyone. It's okay. So you have in that moment, hey, we're not clicking, but that's okay. And so from that, even as I say it, like my shoulders go back, you can probably hear a change in my voice. I'm sitting up straighter, and I'm sitting there coming from this like confident place. And then from there, like if I go and find other people to talk to at that event, right? And I talk to a few different people, and one of them goes, "Oh, what do you do?" And you're like, "Oh, I do this," and you're like in that confidence and the passion, and everything's just flying off you, and people are attracted to that. And somebody goes, "Oh, I want to, be on my podcast. That'd be amazing." And somebody says, "Oh my gosh, I would love to work with you." And so, and other people are like, "Oh, let's connect and do coffee chats later or something." And you walk out of that event with like all of these other opportunities. And that's kind of what bravery means to me. It's like just having that ability and sort of training your brain into like knowing the difference, or choosing a thought that serves you in those situations. Not that you can necessarily do it in the moment, but you can prepare for it ahead of time once you realize you have a choice about that thought or the story you tell yourself about that situation. And so yeah, that's sort of what bravery means to me.
I absolutely love that. I've been in that situation so many times. And yeah, just
Yeah.
changing that belief helps you. And even just going to the next person and then being like more receptive lets you change that. But I don't feel like people take that with them
Mhm.
out of
Mm.
it to come to the next event. So I think what you said is really, really important. Um,
Yeah.
change that belief initially before you go and continue that on as you
Mm.
go through everything. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm that person. If you send me like a blunt text message, I'm like, what did I do? Why is this my fault? And then I go, it's not my fault. Like, it's fine. Actually, yeah, yesterday I was talking with someone that wanted my help, and I was like, oh, I don't think we're gonna click. And then we got on a call because it was very blunt. It was very like this
Mm.
and direct. And I'm like, this is not how I
Yeah.
communicate. And then we got on a call and we talked for like 2 hours about just everything in the world and NLP. And like, it was just such a good
Mm.
conversation. And I'm like, wow, see, like, it's just a
Mm.
bad belief. That was a quick
Yeah.
like chat we had too. So I was like, oh, I don't know. But yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't write everyone off. And a big thing I actually started doing when I did get more
Mm.
brave was
Mm.
even telling the person that, I don't think we're clicking. Like I've even had that weird chat where I'm like, I'm just gonna go for it. And then they go, oh, what do you mean?
Mm.
That's not true. That's not how I feel about it. Like I'm just an awkward person too, or something that happens sometimes. You connect over
Gosh.
that and you have a good
Yeah.
laugh.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's
Yeah.
funny.
That's awesome actually, because like I had a coffee chat with somebody recently who was a bit more introverted than and so it's just been a while since I've been around somebody sort of that introverted. Like normally you get onto coffee chats, it's a certain type of person, but it was very, short statements, yeah, kind of, yeah, I don't know. And I was struggling to connect with her. And yeah, it didn't occur to me to sort of go, hey, we're not really clicking. Like, but then she still wanted to have me on her podcast. So that was awesome. But I was kind of like, I wouldn't have been surprised if she was like, oh, I don't think this is a fit or something. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
hopefully she still wants to and isn't just awkward about it. Because I did that when I was really introverted and I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
sure,
me
let's
too.
just do it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. You're like amazing, and I'm sure she wants that for her guests, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I mean, like I can handle the rejection of that and just be like, oh yeah, I get it. I know,
Yeah, like yeah, if you can't
Mm.
bounce back and forth too, there's a whole
Mm.
different story there. Um, but yeah, like bravery to
Mm.
me. So what I was thinking when you were like through this too is we were addressing it before too. I feel like it's a sliding scale, or there is a sliding scale where you can kind of approach it. So like
Yes.
my examples are always like, I can do weirdly big, I don't know, the shiny things of like ride
Mm.
a motorbike. That sounds brave to
Yeah.
people, but I
Mm.
can't speak to people. Like that was my bigger challenge. Like even
Mm.
speaking one-on-one to people was my bigger challenge. And then
Mm.
once I overcame that, I could speak to a couple more people at a time, but still so like that feels like the quiet lower end of the scale where no one's talking about it. Like even having a conversation is hard. And then there's the big shiny bright ones of like the brave, I bungee jumped or I did, that stuff. Like
Mm.
it's a big scale. It's a huge
Yes.
scale.
Yeah.
But then I think you can approach it like if you can go towards like the lower end and just find like where can you be brave, where can you add a little step in
Mm.
that it really like actually I just did an episode on the science of getting outside your comfort zone. It actually like grows your brain and things like that. So if you
Mm.
can find it in one area, um something that scares you and makes you feel brave and you kind of go holy shit I did it, um that's growing like these things in your brain, these parts in your brain that will like continue to grow and continue to let you go outside your comfort zone even more and do more brave things. And I don't really want that to go back to like do the big break, what is it, what did you say, just do it anyway kind of thing.
I'll feel the fear and do it anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that one. But
Yeah.
like it doesn't have to be the big shiny thing. Do the
Mm.
something
Yeah.
that excites you and gives you more of an excitement feeling.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think maybe I forgot to say it, but like sometimes the brave thing is like, sending an email to someone that just feels uncomfortable to write and doesn't even have to be saying no. It could be, pitching to someone or just, yeah, like, and like that doesn't look sexy on the outside. That's just you at a keyboard, but
Yeah.
internally it's like you've gone out and fought a whole village of ogres or something. Do you know what I
Yeah, yeah, it does. Yeah, you watch your like stress level on your watch and it's just like fighting a tiger.
mean? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm definitely like that with emails, or I have been like that with emails in the past. A big
Mm.
thing is actually leaving these beliefs in the past too. Since you did bring up NLP,
Mm.
you add,
Yeah.
you make sure you address it as like in the past, I used to be bad at writing
Mm.
emails to people. It's actually really powerful. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just
Yeah.
all the little things we can do, all the little tools you learn when you're an anxious human. Um,
Yes.
mm,
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay, next question is tell me about a time you did something brave that others might consider as a simple or easy thing, but it was significant to you. Why was it significant? What did you learn?
Mm.
Oof.
Yeah. Okay. So so I think my answer to this, and these were the questions that I prepared beforehand. So yeah, it was gonna be around getting on camera, I think it was like just in my business, which I don't know. I mean, I think some people really get it, but for others, like it can be so easy for them. Like, and I mean, like in one hand, it's like it's just a bit of plastic, but by the same token, it took me years to build up these skills. Like, I used to do presentations at school, and I'd be shaking, and I'd be stuttering and stammering, and it would just be like, what is it? The teacher would give you, oh, okay, you've just got to talk for 2 minutes. And that felt like 500 hours of hell. And
Mm-hmm.
like, mum's advice was like, you've just got to get through it. It's just 2 minutes of hell and then you're done and it's all good. And I'd get
Yeah.
up there and I'd, yes.
And then you talk
And
really
then,
fast and then they can't understand you and then you have to do it again.
yeah, can
I've
you
been
slow
there.
down? No, I really can't.
Just let me do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really didn't want to be the center of attention, have all those eyes on me and things like that when I was younger. And then I went into university and I did a marketing degree. What I didn't know, or well, one of my majors was marketing. And what I didn't know was actually at that time, marketing is just group projects and presentations. And it's presentation after presentation after presentation. And yeah, the first
A
time the
nightmare.
group asked me, oh, do you want to get up and do this? And as a people pleaser at the time, I was like, okay, yeah, I'll get up and talk if nobody else wants to. And yes, I got up and I started and stammered through it. And I could like just feel all of the people behind me in my group. They just like all hunched in and I could just feel ultimate in humiliation. And so, yeah, it's something I had to get better at and better at. And just, all that so that I could be here doing what I do now and getting on camera and all of that stuff. And yeah, like when I was first getting on camera for my business, I'd do oh what I'd call the Captain Kirk take. You know how Captain Kirk from the original Star Trek, he'd, Stardate 2517, and he'd have all these weird stops. And I realized that's because he was trying to remember what he was saying. I was like,
Oh,
oh, that's why he
really?
does that. It's because he couldn't remember his lines and do it in one thing. It's like yeah.
Oh,
So
really? Is that actually
yeah.
what the actor was losing track of the line? Or was it his
Oh,
character that's meant to be like that?
no, the character's not meant to be like
Oh,
that.
okay.
I think that was the actor. I mean, it became part of his, like,
Yeah.
and he worked it into the character, but
Oh,
and
that's
like very
hilarious.
popular. Yeah, but it just like we all used to make fun of him growing up about the way he talked. And then when I was getting on video, and then I realized I was doing the same thing, and it was like, oh, okay, here I am. Like, oh, that's probably why he did that. He was probably struggling to remember the next line because I was trying to do that. So, yes, and
That's so good.
take me like 20 takes to record a video and things like that. And it's just like, I don't have time for this. I've got to, yeah. And
Yeah.
it wasn't natural, and yeah, just all of those things. So, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a very common one for everyone in business, especially nowadays. Now we're all
Mm.
content creators. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Something that, like Instagram, everyone's on Instagram and they're like, how do I go on Instagram? How do I show my face more? It's like, it's not really a good way to do it. You got to just go on your stories because start there if I can recommend anything because they
Yeah.
disappear after a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like it's a difficult place to be because they're like how fast do you talk, how slow do you talk, it's like it cuts off. So anyway, yeah, but it's a good place
Yeah.
to practice.
Mm.
But yeah, oh my god, that I'm never gonna forget that Captain Kirk thing now. Thank you. That
I
helps
maybe
so
shouldn't
much.
have said it. I don't want to inception
No,
that into people's minds and then they go, oh, that's all I can do now. But anyway.
no, I think it's good because like so I did the same thing. I would shake. I almost fainted. So like I love how you described the whole scene because I never do. I'm just like, okay, I go on stage and I just shake and I faint. I used to faint. Because my brain would go blank. And
Yeah.
then I'd be like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know where to start. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it was either talk really fast and like but I couldn't even, I did not have the capability to make shit up either. Like was not
Mm.
that person. Um, yeah. Then you have to find the fine line of like over preparing was really bad for me, but under preparing was obviously really bad for me. um, yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to walk that fine line. I think that's a really good example. I love that you were thrown into marketing. You're like, oh shit, it's all presentations. Um,
Yeah.
I did like accounting and they did marketing in it as well. And
Mm.
yeah, same. I was like, this class is my nightmare. But then I also found it really interesting. But I was like, these projects are my nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all you can do
Mm.
is slowly approach it, I guess. Like, be like, you present this time, please, for the love of God, not me. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's
Mm.
funny. I actually don't really have an example of doing something brave. Basically that's my example. I spoke on stage recently. That's not that simple though, is it? But yeah, I still shook that time actually because it was really a vulnerable topic I wanted to share at the core root of what I wanted to share. And I
Mm.
did the thing where I was shaking and then I had my phone in my hand and I was like, just gonna kind of read. But then I feel like maybe there's a lesson in this. I like the other girls spoke, a couple other girls spoke, and then I was like, I didn't get to the point of what I wanted to talk about because I hesitated on it because it scared me so much. Because it was really like it's like a family, it was like a deep family thing, trauma. Anyway, I'm not gonna share it here, but when I got to it, I was like, okay, we got to the end, and like my brave moment was like, okay, no, I said into the microphone, can I actually share something else? And then I said it naturally, and I didn't read, and I didn't shake, and I said it, and it was really powerful, and the whole room was like, holy shit, and like that was the moment I was waiting for. It's that awkwardness of yeah, I don't want to be the center of attention, and like who am I to share my story, but also like it did make such an impact. Like you should share it and you should be out there, and if you can push
Mm.
past your fears, just do it. It's really important. It really resonates and it really has a ripple effect. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Oh
just
my
my
gosh.
tidbit.
I love that story and just the bravery of you getting up and going, actually, I had something more to say. Like, um, for me as like a former people pleaser, recovering people pleaser, like for me, it's like just the other day I was at the hairdresser and she put the cape thing on too tight. And I was like, oh, that's too tight. Can you loosen it? And like that's something that as a people pleaser, I couldn't have said before because I didn't want
Mhm.
her to feel bad.
Yeah.
Just tried to surreptitiously like change it when she wasn't looking or something and just like
Yeah.
so just I kind of I know it probably doesn't sound similar but just your ability to go, oh hey, by the way, I actually do have something I want to say and put yourself forward like that felt very similar to, actually, by the way, this is what I want or here's what I need and I'm going to speak up. Just yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's powerful. I can relate to that. I'll just casually adjust it. They're looking.
Yeah,
Feel bad. Why do we think that people will feel bad? Like,
I
oh my
know.
goodness. That's funny. Oh, I love it. Okay, the next question is, when was the first time you were brave in your life that you can remember? What happened? What did you learn? Oh, it's huge.
Yeah. Okay. So this one is another sort of interesting. It's like, oh, which story do you tell? Because I actually was talking to my husband about this. We've been together for 20 years, and like this story meant that this question meant that we actually had something new to talk about in 20 years to find out about each other, which was pretty cool. Because like the story I was going to tell, he sort of said, "Oh, that's you developing. You know, you were young. I think that's, you know, part of your development and working out who you are." So the story I'm going to tell is when I was 17 and I was just finishing high school here in Australia, and I moved over 2,000 kilometers, so over 1,000 miles across the country to go to university in a small town that I had never seen or heard of before. And rather than like most of my schoolmates would go to the big city, I went beyond the big city to like another small town, because like I had a few choices of universities because I was studying languages when I first showed up. I changed my degree about 5 times trying to work out what I wanted to do with my life. But yeah, I moved. I moved from a tropical location to a place that actually has, you know, gets snow and is cold. And I couldn't buy clothing to move to this place. I had to borrow clothes from people because it was so cold here when I got here. And yeah, and I just learnt that yeah, when when I'm determined, I can do anything. So yeah, maybe not
That's
the best
huge.
lesson for a 17-year-old to learn, but yeah,
Yeah, when you're
that's
stubborn enough, you can figure it out. No, but
yeah.
that's awesome. Well, you went after what you wanted and yeah, you did it and went to the
Yeah.
cold place. I don't
Yeah.
recommend that. As a Canadian, I don't
Ah, yeah, it's not as
recommend.
cold as Canada, right? Like the snow melts as soon as it hits the ground. But the fact is, I moved from the tropics, which, you know,
Mhm.
like just never gets below 20. So what's that? Like, I think that's like in the 60s or something in Fahrenheit. So yeah.
Oh, I can't do Fahrenheit.
It's,
That's Canadians do Celsius, thankfully. Um, yeah, it's like -40 we get to sometime, but that's in like West Canada where yeah. Um,
yeah.
where eyelashes freeze to your face, but
Ugh.
it's quite funny. Um, but yeah, no, I love that. So did you wait, is that in Australia still the where there's
Yeah.
snow? Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can't remember
Yeah.
where that is, near Canberra.
Yeah. So like it's in the town that I live in now. So it's like halfway between Sydney and Brisbane
Oh
and
yeah.
inland from Coffs Harbour. So but
Hmm.
it's up in the mountains. So yeah. And I moved here from Cairns in far north Queensland. So
Yeah,
yeah.
Cairns is hugely like humid and hot and
Mm.
yeah. Even
Yeah.
now when I live in Perth, like it's like 20 degrees and I'm like, I'm freezing. Canadian me would be ashamed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
yeah,
funny.
that's a
Yeah.
really good story. No, I think
Mm.
moving is huge and that's a really good share. Um,
Mm.
I don't think the first one was when I moved to, but so when I moved from like Ontario, Canada to West Canada, I want to
Mm.
share that even though it's similar to yours because
Mm.
that was the first time I probably made a decision like for myself, like um
Yeah.
kind of was like I guess maybe it was the people pleasing, or it was just kind of I was going along with what was meant to happen, you know, go to school, do the things, and I was doing my best to navigate that and, you know, make a life out of those kinds of like normal things that people do. But it wasn't like fitting. So I was like, well, I'm just gonna go across Canada, and I worked in a hotel and like got a job beforehand. I remember doing the Zoom call. Oh my God, actually, that was scary. But I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do it without pants on. And it's going to make me like laugh. So I'll be calm, but it didn't help. But it was still funny after. I remember I like, yeah, someone came home at the time and I'm sitting there like pantsless and I was like, yeah. But anyway, um, yeah, I remember that. That was really good. And yeah, I got the job beforehand and then moved across. And then that was like, yeah, it was like, no one's doing this. I'm gonna fucking do it. Everyone thought I was insane. But that led me to like travel the world and move to like where I need to be is Australia. So I felt that pull. So, um, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's probably the biggest brave first thing I did.
Mm. Yeah, I definitely resonate with that whole, like what you said, the first time you did something for you rather than perhaps what, society or family or just, the easier expected thing to do. So
Yeah,
yeah.
instead of kind of getting dragged into
Mm,
whatever it was,
yeah.
I was driving myself almost. I definitely
Yeah.
had to go through a lot more years of like figuring shit out to like not get dragged. But I heard that expression. It was in terms of business too. Like, are we getting dragged for like external reasons? You're doing what you're doing for external reasons, or are you driving yourself from internal reasons of like creating the life you want, right? So yeah, I think that's a
Mm.
good way to put it, was being dragged through society, like go through the steps and this is how your life needs to look. And I was like, fuck this. Yeah.
Yeah. I've definitely had like a love-hate relationship between the two, being drawn to what I want versus what I felt like I should want and, what society expects. And it's like I tried that pathway of, like I'd leave it for a while and then I'd come back, oh, well, maybe this will work. And yeah, I just ultimately felt unfulfilled. And even though following my own path has been sometimes not quite as good with some of the mindset stuff and the anxiety around it and everything, it was still just a bit more fulfilling
Yeah,
than just,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Is it like, so yeah, you're following your own path, so it's less structured because you're like, I don't know what to expect. So then the mindset stuff kind of comes in more. Is that why? Like, I feel like you're unsettled more.
So for me, I mean, that could be part of it. I didn't think about it that way. But for me, it was more that if, like, following my own path, if it didn't work straight away, then that was more reason, yet more reason of why I was, unworthy. And like I said before, I was like, I've always felt, for the longest time, I felt like there was something lacking in me personally, and that I had to work harder than everyone else. So then when you go off from the normal path, or like what you think society wants for you, a career 9 to 5 job maybe or whatever, and go into, running my own business and some of that stuff. And you know then when it didn't all click, and I didn't have the big 6-figure business within 6 months or something like that. And yeah, that's when the voice would come in and just be, like, oh, you're not good enough, see, you're not good enough, and oh, see, it's never going to happen, and you should just give up, and that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
just some of that extra torture that I would put on myself, like I don't do now, but I had to learn those skills.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm so passionate about teaching bravery and teaching those skills.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's good realization for sure. I feel like it's this big constant battle between these people that constantly are like, oh, you know, 6 figures in 6 months. And like when you're getting into business, you're like, okay, that's all I see. But there's this new age of people coming in trying our hardest to show people that it's not actually that fast. Like I don't know.
Mm,
I don't
yeah,
know. I think that's
yeah.
a like everyone that's like really successful is like, I've just been doing it for a really long time, but everyone just wants instant results. I think with business, because it's so vague of like, well, when does the result come? Everyone has like a panic about it.
Mm,
Like, and what does it look
yeah.
like? You have to really know what you want it to look like. for there to be a
Mm.
destination, maybe. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I mean, like, it's not just vague, it's just, it is different for different people. Like, sometimes those stories of I made six figures in 6 months, like, they are legitimate because what you don't see is that they did have, 10, 20 years background in sales. And so they
Yeah.
have a whole different mindset or something like that. The part where I torture myself, though, is like, okay, you have all the marketing background, you know all the strategies. Why can't you make this work? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like,
Yeah. Then it's more just, yeah, internal. But like you wouldn't know that until someone pointed that out to you, or you realize like you can work on that part of you. I didn't know that
yes.
was a thing for a long time. You're like, I'm just gonna be tormented my like in my head forever. That was my reality for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah. I thought that was life. Like, didn't everybody else you know, like family members share these traits that I have. So I didn't know that there were people out there who didn't have this kind of anxiety and internal monologues and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's so true. So interesting in it. Yeah, it's just surround yourself with different people so you can see that if you can.
Yes.
um, the next question is, why does bravery resonate with you so much?
Yeah, so just around it resonates with me so much just because of like it seems to be like the hardest, slowest lesson that I have learned is that whole not every thought that you have is true or even helpful. And so for for bravery and to be brave, and it's basically working outside of your comfort zone. And that's pretty much what a business really requires of you. And you're always growing and always working outside of your comfort zone. And so your brain and your subconscious gets triggered, and then it wants to keep you safe, so that's when you find yourself getting stuck in procrastination, overwhelm, uncertainty. And so yeah, that's why this really resonates with me, just because like if I hadn't come across all of this stuff, like all of the marketing strategies in the world wouldn't have worked for me, because it's like I had to really work on that inner work, which sounds cliched, but just yeah, raising my self-esteem and getting more confidence and just some of that stuff to make these things work so that I can show up and really connect with other people and not just keep shying away from and pulling back from to keep myself safe. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's why
yeah,
this
that's really
resonates for me. Mm.
yeah. I really hate that feeling of like that shrinking feeling, which I can notice it now, and I still do it.
Mm.
Like I said, like when I
Mm.
spoke on stage, I shrunk, and then I was like, no, 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 out. um, yeah, that resonates so much. And I feel like recently is what I've been doing too is like facing the inner work and like months and months of it, um, shedding away things like grief and things like they I had anxiety and grief and all of that. And like they're just labels, PS, everyone, they're just labels. Like they're labels to help you and tools to help you like analyze and bring awareness, and then so you can approach it the right way, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, because yeah, like for a long time I was like, I have anxiety, like, oh, and then you use that to shrink. But sometimes you can go, I have anxiety, and you can use that to grow, like I'm gonna do it anyway. I think that's
Mm.
huge.
Mm.
um but yeah, that shrinking feeling, yeah, I never really used the word brave until, actually I don't even know if I did, but I remember people started calling me that when I was doing things that I feel are easy to me, um like extreme sports or something, right? But some
Mm.
reason that's like kind of okay for me. It doesn't bring up anxiety, it doesn't do anything, I just kind of do it. And people would be like, that's brave, and I was like, that's a weird word to use, PS, for like for me. But okay, cool, there's a thread that I like, okay, so like there's merit in continuing to push yourself outside your comfort zone, and maybe not just push but be outside your comfort zone. And yeah, I think doing those big extreme things was like showed me like, oh, you can do it. And then it also showed me that like um I'm not gonna die even. And then like, so speaking is not gonna kill me, speaking to someone's not gonna kill me, so that was kind of like the thread. um yeah, and then it gave me that recognition of like this, that is bravery, then speaking more, that's brave, okay, let's go in that direction. So yeah, I think that's how it resonates with me.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Oh, just there was something that you said, and then I've forgotten what I was going to say. But
That's right. I do all the
yeah,
time with podcasting. I'm like, and moving on.
whatever it was, I'm sure it was gold, and it was the answers we're all looking for.
Yes, we're gonna live with
Yeah.
that affirmation today. Um, yeah, if it came out, it came out. Um, I think I might skip a few because we'll just wrap it
Yeah.
up. But the last one is, what would you do if you were braver in your business or life? What would that look like? Who would you become? What's stopping you from doing that now? Fuck, I hate that last part. Yeah.
Oh, sounds interesting. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is an interesting question for me because I've been doing this like 12 months of bravery now, and in the last 6 months, I've kind of had this whole more systematic approach to it with like, we set brave goals and, shoot for the moon and land on the stars and then, try not to beat ourselves up if we don't land on the moon the first time round. And part of that process is like working through the negative thoughts and all that at the time of planning so that we can kind of, do more in the doing phase. So with that, like I really feel like at the moment I am doing all of the brave things. The two things in my future that I'm aiming for is to actually talk on a stage in front of hundreds of people and to, have 7 figures of income in 1 year from something that I create that helps people. So those are my two bigger goals. However, at the moment, I'm working on, balancing my nervous system and just really keeping like a consistent income of clients so that I'm then ready to face those challenges. So, like, really for me, like, I'm very happy with where I'm at with, how brave I'm being. And even though, like, part of my bravery is like working in rest and relaxation and balance, which is not as sexy as, oh, I'm doing all of the podcast guesting, and which I am doing that too. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and it feels like kind of a cop out because like I want to have a really awesome answer that inspires people, but really, I've created this system to be my bravest self, and I am doing that on a near daily basis. Sometimes I take weekends off, but so
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this stuff.
Okay, I love it. So you actually need to nurture yourself more than to do stuff.
Mm.
Do.
Yes. Yes, the shooting for the moon part is easy. The having balance and perhaps, not
Mm,
working 24/7 or yeah, and not having a dysregulated nervous system. Yeah, that's my unsexy edges.
yeah. Oh, that's awesome though. I think that's really important to highlight, like for sure. No one pays attention to that. And then yeah, you're like, I'll have to grind, or I'm not gonna get 6 figures in 6 months, or I'm gonna, and then everyone loses their mind and gets an autoimmune disease. So let's not do that.
Believe me, I've tried it, and if grinding could get me there, I would have got there already because I can do the grind. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, you
yeah,
can
it's
do the
not the
grind
answer
and
for
you have the
me.
skills and the knowledge. So yeah, like what's missing that puzzle piece? So you clearly found it. So
Mm.
yeah, well, you figured out your mindset, you've done that. Now it's nurture.
Yeah.
And I like that because it's always is like a step. It's like, take the stairs and like find the steps. And like
Yeah.
you can keep moving forward, but then it's always good to kind of look back to and be like, are you missing something? Do you need to look internally or externally for it? Um,
Mm.
yeah. Yeah, like I did, like I had all these, I changed a lot of things about my business, but I was like, I'm still not able to go past this wall of like putting myself out there more. It's not easy enough. And then then I shrink back too fast. So it's like I need to actually build the resilience to like hold
Mm.
that forward, I don't know, facing
Mm.
persona or embodiment, not persona.
Mm.
Yeah, embody
Yeah.
that part.
Mm.
But yeah, there was
Yeah.
so much junk behind the scenes that I didn't know that I wasn't processing. That's what was holding me back. Um,
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'm doing. I've actually realized I need to make more offers
Mm.
because people are hearing me now. Um, as a projector, I wasn't
Mm.
being seen. So I'm not seen or recognized. So like sometimes I feel like I talk and then no one here like doesn't land, or like I'm like
Mm.
waving flags and people are like looking in the opposite direction type thing. Um But after doing like more internal stuff, people have started to recognize and notice. So I'm like, okay, well, now it is time to make more offers and do the marketing and all of that. And it was like, to me, maybe the universe kind of does protect me and shows me these things and goes, you're not that you're not ready, but like first go here and then you'll get there. Um, so yeah, making more offers now that I'm being heard. Because yeah, it wasn't really landing, but it was also that I didn't know what I wanted. So yeah, now I
Mm.
know what I want.
Yeah.
And then also being able to handle the capacity for like the other side. So making an offer is fine. Can you
Mm.
close the sale, which is something I had to practice a long time ago, which now I'm good at? Can
Mm.
you do the like deliver on the thing? And like, is that going to burn you out? Sometimes there's a few people I
Yeah.
speak to that hesitate about that. Like, oh, if I make the offer, then I'm going to have so many people, then I'm going to burn out. So you like phase yourself out of making an offer early on.
Yes.
Um, yeah. I actually did a whole episode on making offers because I was like, I figured it. Like, I understand. I feel it now. So I've shared what I feel. So if anyone wants to listen to that one, that's
Mm. Oh,
there.
awesome.
Yeah. Um, I think, yeah, they're different for everyone. I think that there's like a few different kinds of people and like how you can approach offers for different kinds of people. So that's kind of what I was talking about.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, that's and what was stopping me from doing it now, just looking at the question, that was it, like not being heard. But then I shouldn't have let that deter me. But I also am kind of glad I took a step back and was like, okay, there's other stuff here, not just it not being heard. um, yeah. So reevaluating and stuff. Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
my answer is.
Mm.
Okay, quick last question. So looking back on your journey, what would you tell your younger self if you could
Oh,
about
there was a last question. I thought that was
no,
the
that's
last
my
question.
question. I've just
Oh,
added
right.
it. You're stuck.
Oh, what would I tell my younger self? Okay, yep, I love this question. So the things that I would tell my younger self is as soon as I could, I'd be saying, look, not every thought you have is true. Not every thought you have helps you. And yeah, like just question everything, even the thoughts that come up in your mind. And you are enough. You are loved. You are safe. You are secure. And yeah, this what you're going through doesn't last forever. And yeah, you'll learn and grow from all of these experiences. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Yeah, you don't have to be afraid of everything, be what I would say. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
question your thoughts. Like yeah, none of our thoughts. Like when I was younger, I was afraid of like Mondays. Like, why was I afraid of Mondays? I was afraid of people. I was afraid like so many things. Um,
Mm, yeah.
yeah, but it was just your mind being like, you need to be afraid of everything, and this is gonna go wrong, and that. So yeah, question your
Mm,
fucking thoughts. It's a good one.
yeah. And in some ways that's a sign of um like above average intelligence, and also like a really good survival instinct is like we're always on the lookout for things
Mm-hmm.
so that we can head them off at the pass. And so while like it might be not so fun going through it when it's sort of like all in your head and all of the things that could go wrong, it's actually, there can be some benefits to, having a little bit of that. So yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, oh my God, that really resonates because I had a realization. Like I was like, I swear when I was really young, I was really old. Like I was thousands of years old, and I it's a whole other thing. But the realization, I was like, I swear, like I knew too much and it was overloading me or something, and it was just too.
Mm.
I was too aware. So like what you're saying, like yeah, I don't know, we understood a lot. I think definitely,
Mm.
but you didn't know how to process that, obviously, because it was like yeah,
Yeah.
I still feel that sometimes. I'm like, I know that. And then I'm like, how do I know that? I don't know. I just do know. um, even if it, like not facts or anything, just random, guess like intuition. And like, I swear, I think all of us are millions of years old, obviously, but
Mm.
maybe not obviously, but if you believe in that stuff, um, we would, like, why wouldn't we have brought like what we know? And yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
why else would I be stressed when my life is like I'm 4 years old and nothing's happening? Like, yeah, didn't make sense to me. Okay,
Um,
that's my other
yeah.
tangent. Sorry, go on.
uh, I forgot now. Sorry. Again, I'm sure it
That's
was
right.
going to be awesome, but yeah.
I've
Sorry.
blanked your
Yeah.
mind again. That's right. All right. I love that. That was so good. Probably my favorite podcast, actually. It was really fun
Mm. Oh, awesome.
exploring that with you. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise.
Would love to just leave everyone with where everyone can leave you, find you online.
Yeah, so yeah, best place would be over on Instagram. I'm on over there at Tiffany G Studios, Tiffany G for golf and studios, and no underscores or anything. And from there you can find links to my Business Bravery with Tiff Facebook group. Where
Yeah.
there's a bunch of like-minded people, and we're all doing brave things together. So
Yeah, I love it. Let's do more
mm,
brave things together. And
yeah,
I think find us both on the DMs. And if you want to talk about brave stuff, let's please do that.
yeah.
Thank you so much for listening. I do hope you enjoyed that. We are exploring our comfort zones and our edges with every episode, every guest, and every episode I do by myself. If you have enjoyed this, please follow us on Spotify, leave a 5-star review or a review on Apple Podcasts. It would mean the world to us. We get to grow and have more informative guests on, more provocative guests if that's what you want. I am so down to see where this grows. In the meantime, follow me on Instagram at amanda.petra__, and I would love to chat with you in the DMs. What hit home, what didn't, what came to mind. It would be really cool. So I will see you there. And thank you so much. See you in the next episode. Although our podcast presenters and all guests strive to deliver accurate information, they cannot address your unique circumstances comprehensively. Therefore, the content shared by any speaker on this platform is not personalized advice for individuals and should not substitute professional medical or health guidance. It is crucial to consult a qualified medical professional or for personalized advice. Additionally, always seek guidance from a healthcare provider before making decisions regarding your health or that of your family. Furthermore, it's essential to recognize that what works for one person may not work for another, emphasizing individual responsibility for health decisions as promoted on our show.